Evening, everyone. It's 6:55, and this is your closing comment. It is video number 597. And if you think that the inmates took over the loony bin this morning, by tonight, you have to be convinced. We had two IPO'S today, both of which were repriced well above their opening ranges, initial ranges, and that was Poshmark, which is a site that basically lets you sell crap out of your own closet and make it look like I made money. Their ads say, I made money, I could buy my car, I could pay for my wedding. Unfortunately, they're selling their assets. In the meantime, they priced Poshmark at 42. It opened at 97.5, traded up to just short of 105, and closed at 102, essentially up 60. And WOOF, WOOF, that's Petco. They priced that above also. Came out at 18, opened at 26, traded to 31.80, and closed 29.90. This is a company that you just kind of rent. This is the third time that Petco has been private, gone public, gone private, gone public, 3 times. So it's a hard way to judge the market. What was interesting today about the market was that it actually was stronger than it looked. The problem was, how they used to say risk on, risk off. It's now gotten a little more specialized. Today was small cap on, large cap off. So the Dow was down 68.95, but it was 2.3 to 1 to the upside on the internals. The NASDAQ was down 16.31, really minor, 0.12%, but the advanced declines were 2.6 to 1, which is much stronger than it's been in the last several weeks internally. And on top of that, the volume was actually up almost 25% versus yesterday. S&P was down 1430 or 0.38. And as I mentioned, the Russell up 43.38, over 2%. The Dow Jones Transports up 141.30 or 1.09%. So it was a pretty interesting day. I'm just going to run down these stocks so that you get a better flavor. Intel, which we know was up on Bob Swan leaving, today climbed back up towards the high that it made after the announcement and closed 59.38 up to 43, 4.2%. For the week, Intel is up 15% or $7.75. Apphria, APHA, beat top and bottom line. This is a pot stock. Seemingly one of the better ones. Closed today 1272, up 418 or 48% on their earnings. Taiwan Semiconductor also beat top and bottom line. It traded as high as 134.65. Finished the day at 127.55, up 831 or 7%. Twitter. These guys are in such a bad spot. There was a report this morning where one of the guys on CNBC had to take both sides of the argument about the First Amendment. But the way that Twitter is situated in it, now people are claiming, well, they don't really have the right as a public company to infringe on First Amendment, and it's down today, 45.92, down $1.32, but it too is down substantially on the week, $5.60 or 11%. They're just stuck in a box here where no matter which way they go, they're wrong. Marriott, which I mentioned this morning, whose brick and mortar sales were down 22%, but online sales were up 23%, traded as low as $34.53 this morning, but climbed back up and closed $38.09, up 51 cents. So not an overwhelming day, but versus that low, finishing $3.50 higher is pretty impressive. And our favorite outgoing sociopath again reversed positions on delisting the Chinese stocks. Alibaba closed up 860, Tencent up 235, and Baidu up 1410. What's interesting here is these stocks have been so beaten up and moved in both directions that on the week, even though it was up 860 today, Baba is only up $7 and change. Baidu, the same thing, up 1410 today, up 1075 for the week. We have my least favorite part of the year coming up, actually started yesterday and today, but the banks report tomorrow, so it's earnings season, which seriously sucks. Because you can be 100% right, and a lot of these stocks have already had a bunch built into them. So tomorrow we have JP Morgan, Citi, Wells Fargo, and PNC. Also, the economic calendar tomorrow, we have PPI, industrial production, Michigan Consumer Survey, and housing starts and permits. So it'll be a busy day. Okay, the chart on the screen is the bonds, and they look to me to be ready to try and have a little bit of a rally here. I thought that a couple of days ago, didn't jump in and saw them move up. Okay, this is the weekly, and we'll give you a little bit more context here. So we've been in this triangle. We came down and broke out of it. We were short here, we were short again here, and we haven't really played it much since then. But we're coming down to this low, which is the lowest low for the last 6 months or so, at 167.05. Today we traded down to 167.11. So we're trying that area. And on the weekly, it's not as obvious as I was showing you on the daily that we're really trying to hold here. And we came down, had a reversal here off the low, rallied further, came down yesterday. Actually, today, the bonds were down a little over a point. But right here, right at the same area of the close here was 168.06. Today's close was 168.07. It looks to me like we're probably going to try the bottom here of the triangle again in the neighborhood of 171, and I will look for some of the TLT calls if I get the opportunity. Our incoming president is speaking actually in about 10 minutes, and I expect him to be somewhat negative on fossil fuels because he's such a big fan and has operated on the doing away and moving to alternative energy. The oil, which I went short yesterday, was down this morning and then turned higher, closed up about 60 cents on the day, and right now is up another 23 cents. I'm going to wait and see how this reacts tomorrow. If we don't get a move back down, then I'll just close it out. The high here 2 days ago was 53.93. Today's high was 53.75, and tonight's high is 53.83. So we're right up against it. But it's a very small position. I mean, when you own 3 calls at 72 cents, if they get cut in half, it really still doesn't cost you much. And in that account, we are actually up about 9% right now. So not terrible. The one thing that is really surprising to me with the amount of money that's getting thrown around, and you'll hear about it more tonight, that the metals can't seem to get out of their own way. The gold was down today. The silver is down tonight. But on the day, the gold was much lower and closed near the high. So the fact that it's down $4 right now is not really a big deal. But the difference is that the metals as a group, because they're so inflation sensitive, usually operate together. The one exception for that is the copper. When things are soft in the metals, very often the copper is actually up because it's an industrial metal. So if there's not a lot of inflation and business is getting better and the economy is heating up, then copper goes up while everything else goes down. But here's what I want to show you. This is the platinum. And the platinum looks nothing like the gold and silver. The platinum is actually making new highs. I mean, platinum since March of last year, with a low of 562, is currently trading at 1,027.90. And on the week is up $56.60. The silver looks a little bit better than the gold, but it still is not near its high. I mean, its high back here just a couple of months ago was $29.91. Right now we're trading $25.64. Platinum, the equivalent of up here, the equivalent of maybe $30 or $32. And the gold, which just has gotten kicked around, I truly don't understand why, because all of these policies are inflationary. And today, by the way, Jay Powell said he wasn't going to think about raising rates until inflation had been over 2% for a year. So, and here we have a pronounced downtrend, which we tried to break out of, ran into resistance here and collapsed to the low last week. So on a week where platinum was up $56, gold was down $60. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but we'll see how it shakes out. And of course, what would an evening be without a look at Bitcoin, which was up 3,230 again today. It's down 110 right now. It's still today's high, which was 40,200, I think. Today's high was 40,365. Let's go to the daily. Getting awfully close to breaking out yet again. And on this next move, if we do break out above this 42.7, I think it is, 42,730. We went from 42,730 down to 31,000. That's 11,000 on what's called a measured move, where you look at the size of the pullback and you add it on the breakout. We could easily be well over 50,000. You had people like Scott Minerd today from Guggenheim, very well respected individual, talking about the fact that he could see 400,000 on Bitcoin. Not tomorrow or next week or next month, but eventually. One other thing I wanted to mention, SPCE, Space, Virgin Galactic, closed today 33.44. I mentioned this last night to you when it was 30 and it was up about $3 in late trading. And I know I had it in last night's daily note, was up $5.88 today, or 21%. And I want to tell you what I think is the reason, and I've heard it discussed a couple of times today. Kathy Woods, the woman who did the write-up on Tesla and did a comparison of the EV market using Tesla, Nikola, and the rest of the world, and she is the biggest bull on the street in Tesla. She has just announced that she's going to be putting together an ETF for the space markets. There is one already. It's UFO, and it is already moved substantially. But there's only a limited number of these companies that are publicly traded right now. SpaceX is not, because it's part of Tesla. Blue, can't remember what Bezos is. Whatever his is also private. And so there are a limited number of these stocks, and basically by announcing that, she gave them, kind of the go-ahead to front-run her. In other words, for them to be buying stocks that they know she's going to have to buy in order to maintain a full ETF for space. And there are a couple of others like Northrop Grumman and those kind of stocks that will also go into something like this. But there was no news on Virgin Galactic. And next week they have another trial flight, which by the time that trial flight goes off, this could be $40. But the bottom line is I'd be careful trying to go ahead and buy them, because she is bright and she, knows how to buy stocks. And you can be sure she's not going to let everybody front run her and just sit back and say, okay, no big deal. So you should probably be a little more on the careful side relative to that. It's a great group, but it is running a bit far, a bit fast. All right, everyone, I'll be back first thing in the morning. Have a good evening. Hope you had a good day.